Hello and welcome. Today, we will dive deep into Stoic philosophy and discover the 12 greatest sins of the world. Stoicism is known as a system of thought that has guided people's lives for thousands of years. It offers the wisdom needed to find inner peace and cope with challenges in the outside world. But this knowledge is not only about positive virtues, it is also about the mistakes that people commit against themselves. The Stoics believe that people need to recognize these sins in order to understand how they can change their lives for the better. In this video, we will cover some important concepts that will surprise you. We will see which behaviors actually harm us and discuss how we can avoid these mistakes. As we explore each sin, I invite you to think about how we can apply it to our own lives. If you're ready, let's begin. Here we are with the first of the 12 biggest sins of the world. Imagine a world where you can overcome any challenge with calm determination, where negative emotions cannot control you, and where you live a purposeful life instead of just reacting. This was not a distant dream. It was the goal of the Stoic philosophers 2,000 years ago, yet their wisdom is more relevant today than ever. Forget everything you think you know about being a Stoic. Stoicism is not about suppressing emotions or turning into a robot. It is a powerful toolkit for navigating life with more strength, resilience, and clarity. Surprisingly, the Stoic philosophers have identified 12 fundamental obstacles or sins that hold most of us back, that harm our well-being, and they have a lot to say about overcoming these 12 destructive habits. In this video, I'm going to explore these 12 biggest sins of Stoicists. They may not be what you expect, but I guarantee they will make you think about your actions in a whole new way. Stay tuned to find out how this ancient philosophy can transform your life. If you want tools to overcome your own obstacles and live more consciously, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss future videos. Stay with me until the end, so you can discover the biggest sin standing in the way of your potential. Let's get started. 1. Unwise action, acting without knowledge or foresight. Let's start by defining what the Stoics meant by unwise action. It's not just about making a trivial mistake or forgetting where you put your keys. It's about acting rashly without properly considering the consequences or jumping into situations without enough information to make a good decision. Would you want to jump into a pool without knowing if there was water in it? Why is this on the list of Stoicists' biggest sins? Because it leads to many other problems. Unwise actions may feel good in the moment, but they often land us in boiling water later. Imagine rashly saying something hurtful in anger and then regretting it for days afterward. Or imagine tasting a tempting food, then getting a stomachache and feeling disappointed in yourself. Unchecked, mindless actions create chaos in our lives. The Stoics believed in the power of reason, Epictetus said. It is not events that disturb people, but their judgment about them. That's why they wanted us to pause before we act, to gather information, weigh the possible consequences. Would a wise person act in this way? This takes discipline, but it is a skill we can strengthen with practice. By slowing down our decision-making process, we increase the likelihood that we will act in a way that aligns with our values and leads to better outcomes. Remember, Stoicism is not about being perfect. There will be times when we fall back into old habits, but even small steps in the right direction are important. Start to notice when you tend to be impulsive. What situations trigger unwise reactions? Gradually, you can start to pause, breathe, and ask yourself, is this the wisest response I can make right now? Such conscious actions help us to be more rational and less at the mercy of our temporary impulses. 2. Cowardice, failing to meet challenges with courage. When the Stoics spoke of cowardice, they were not just talking about courage on the battlefield. They were talking about a deeper fear. The fear of taking risks, of stepping outside our comfort zone, of speaking up for what we believe in. It is easier to keep quiet, to play small, to stick to the familiar. But deep down inside, we know that real growth happens when we push ourselves. The Stoics were not interested in blind fearlessness. They understood that fear is natural, even healthy. The question is whether we allow it to control us. Living in the grip of cowardice robs us of the life we should be living. We miss opportunities to develop our strengths, to broaden our horizons and reach heights we never thought possible. Cowardice chains us to regret, to wonder what-ifs that we never dared to explore. Why is cowardice a hindrance and a sin? Because it limits our potential. We miss opportunities to learn, to connect with others, to make a difference in our own lives and in the world around us. Cowardice breeds stagnation. We end up stuck, resentful, and wondering what if. This is not how the Stoics thought we should live. Seneca sums it all up when he says that when we don't dare to do something, it doesn't mean that it is difficult. It is difficult because we don't dare. Cowardice is not about external obstacles. It is about our internal obstacles. It is the voice in our heads that exaggerates risks and underestimates our own abilities. But the Stooges taught that we have more power than we realize, and that the courage to use it begins with a single choice. Overcoming cowardice is not about being fearless. It is about acknowledging the fear, but choosing to act anyway. Start with small steps. Practice saying yes to things that scare you a little. Speak up in a meeting where you would normally remain silent. Have that difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Each of these small victories builds muscle memory. Before you know it, these courageous behaviors become easier and open doors you never thought possible. 3. Injustice, treating others unfairly or disrespectfully. When the Stoics spoke of injustice, they were not just talking about large, sweeping cases of oppression in society, although these are also important. They realized that injustice seeps into everyday actions. Our biased judgments, harsh words, or selfish choices that ignore the impact on others. It is about denying someone their basic dignity and respect. Why is injustice on the list of the greatest sins? For several reasons. First, it causes real harm. Even small acts of unkindness can create waves of pain and negativity. Second, it damages the fabric of a good society. The Stoics believed that we have a duty to each other, an obligation that compels us to act fairly and considerately. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, when we commit injustice, we harm ourselves. We undermine our integrity and nurture the worst parts of our nature. Marcus Aurelius sums it up beautifully. Injustice is a kind of blasphemy. For the Stoics, injustice is a fundamental break with our rational nature. It is choosing short-sighted cruelty over the wisdom of virtuous behavior. Of course, we cannot correct all the injustices in the world on our own, but we can control how we treat other people in our immediate environment. This means trying to be impartial, empathizing, and speaking out against harmful behavior on both small and large scales. Addressing injustice, whether internal or external, is a lifelong practice. Let us be patient with ourselves. Start paying attention to the subtle ways you can be unfair to yourself or others. Challenge your prejudices. Listen with generosity, even when you disagree. And most importantly, stand up for what you believe is right, even when it is difficult. This is how we can build our personal integrity and contribute to a more just world, one small action at a time. 4. Immoderation, overindulgence in pleasures or desires. Immoderation may sound like an old-fashioned word, but it is a very relatable problem. When the Stoics talked about it, they weren't just talking about saying no to all kinds of pleasures. They were targeting the kind of excessive and uncontrolled desire that leads us astray. Whether it's food or entertainment or substances or any other temporary pleasure, it's about desiring too much. Why is this important? Excess creates several fundamental problems. First, the constant pursuit of pleasure rarely makes us truly happy. We are stuck on a hedonic treadmill, always needing more to be satisfied. Second, overindulgence weakens our self-discipline. It becomes difficult to delay gratification and make choices that will benefit us in the long run. And finally, excess makes us slaves to our desires, which is the opposite of what Stoicists see as true freedom. As Epictetus says, "It is impossible for a man to be free who is a slave to his appetites." The Stoics believed that true freedom lay in self-government. So how do we fight against excess? It is about recognizing the transitory nature of pleasure. One can practice mindful enjoyment. Instead of mindlessly consuming, you can enjoy treats in moderation and find deeper fulfillment in things like personal growth, making connections, or contributing to the world around us. Gaining control over your desires is a journey, not a destination. Start by recognizing your triggers. When do these desires arise? Instead of automatically giving in, create some space. Ask yourself, will this really make me happy in the long run? Choosing delayed gratification over instant indulgence builds strength. Over time, these healthier choices become your default and make you less susceptible to the damaging extremes of overdoing it. 5. Envy. Resentment of the good fortune of others. Isn't jealousy a nasty little monster? That gnawing feeling we get when we see someone else succeeding or having a talent we don't have or getting something we want, it's easy to feel as if the world is unfair and we're missing out. But the Stoics knew that envy is poison. It focuses our energy on all the wrong things and hides the blessings we already have. When we are caught up in jealousy, we waste precious time and mental resources feeling bitter. We only compare ourselves to those who are ahead of us, never looking at those who are in a more difficult situation. This distorts our perspective and makes us ungrateful for our strengths and opportunities. It also damages relationships. It is hard to be truly happy for a friend's success if jealousy whispers that we should have their good fortune instead of them having theirs. Seneca warns us, "No one is as unhappy as the person who desires what someone else has." The antidote to envy, the Stoics taught, is twofold. First, cultivate gratitude. Focus on what is good in your life, what you can control. Second, make your own path your priority. Instead of wishing you were like someone else, put your energy into developing yourself, pursuing your own goals, and nurturing your unique talents. It's okay to feel jealous sometimes, but don't let it take root. Reshape your perspective. See the success of others as a source of inspiration, not as your shortcoming. Celebrate the victories of your friends. Remind yourself that your journey is your own. The more we focus on growing and shining our own light, the more we will realize that jealousy. The less room there is for darkness. 6. Anger, allowing yourself to be controlled by anger. Anger is a powerful emotion. It can bubble up inside us, hot and demanding our immediate attention. Left unchecked, it can lead to words or actions that cause deep harm to ourselves and others. This is why the Stoics warned against letting this emotion rule us. True power lies in mastering this destructive force, not in letting it master us. But wait. Isn't anger sometimes justified? The Stoics were not interested in suppressing our emotions, but in channeling them into wisdom and virtuous action. Yes, injustice in the world can rightly ignite our anger. The important thing is to use this initial spark productively, to use it as fuel for change rather than allowing ourselves to be consumed by a blinding anger that accomplishes nothing. Seneca put it best. Anger, if unbridled, often does us more harm than the wound that provoked it. When we are consumed by anger, we lose our clarity of judgment. We become aggressive, often saying and doing things we later regret. We damage our relationships and leave a trail of destruction in our wake. In the end, uncontrolled anger damages us far more deeply than the initial insult or provocation ever could. So how do we break free from the grip of anger? It all starts with self-awareness. Learn to recognize the triggers that set you off. Practice creating space between a provocation and your reaction. Breathe deeply. Remove yourself from the situation if possible. This pause allows your rational mind to re-engage. Look for healthier ways to express your frustrations through assertive communication, focused action, or even physical exercise. Remember, mastering anger doesn't mean you will never feel it again, but you gain the freedom to decide how you react rather than reacting impulsively and paying the price later. 7. Pride, the irrational belief in one's own superiority. According to the Stoics, pride is not about celebrating our legitimate achievements or enjoying our strengths. It is about inflating our ego to an unhealthy degree, basically believing that we are better or more deserving than others. Pride blinds us to our own flaws and makes us intolerable to those around us. It breeds arrogance and prevents us from learning and growing. Why did the Stoics see pride as so problematic? First, it arises from a false sense of self. We begin to attach our worth to external things like status, possessions, talents, forgetting that true virtue lies in our character. Secondly, pride destroys our relationships. Instead of seeing others as potential allies or teachers, we see them as rivals. It fosters contempt, not connection. The Roman emperor and philosopher Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "Eliminate the idea, and the complaint that I am harmed will disappear. Eliminate the complaint that you have been harmed, and the harm will disappear." Pride makes us hypersensitive to insults and offenses, because our ego feels constantly threatened. The Stoic antidote lies in cultivating true humility. It is not about putting ourselves down, but about accepting our place in the grand scheme of things. We are all fallible human beings, and we have things to learn from each other. A proud person cannot receive feedback or admit that they are wrong. This stalls his or her development. Humility encourages openness. It reminds us that there is always more to learn, and that everyone has something to teach us. This mindset encourages personal growth and makes us more valuable friends, colleagues, and community members. Pride isolates. Humility connects. Which kind of life sounds more fulfilling? 8. Greed is the excessive desire for material wealth. Greed is like an insatiable hunger, a desperate drive to acquire more and more material possessions. The Stoics recognized this as the root cause of much unhappiness. They believed that our worth, security, and happiness are not so much about who we are on the inside, but about what we are, that it depends on how much we have. This misguided pursuit leads to a life of constantly looking outward for fulfillment rather than cultivating inner peace. Greed distorts our perspective in various ways. It makes us obsessively focus on what we don't have, creating a constant sense of scarcity and discontentment. We compare ourselves to others, which leads to envy and resentment. Moreover, the pursuit of wealth and possessions can easily consume our time and energy, leaving little room for developing meaningful relationships, personal growth, or contributing to something greater than ourselves. Epictetus offers a powerful insight. Wealth does not consist in having great possessions, but in having few desires. True contentment, the Stoics taught, comes from finding joy and fulfillment in things that cannot be bought. Focus on appreciating what you have, building strong bonds with the people you love, and finding purpose beyond material gain. Greed offers a shallow and temporary sense of happiness at best. The antidote to greed is not enforced poverty, but a mindful relationship with the material world. Accept that some things are necessary for comfort and security. Be grateful for what you have, but don't let the pursuit of possessions be your primary goal. Choose experiences over material accumulation. Think about how you can use your resources to give back to others or to support causes that align with your values. In doing so, you will discover a deeper sense of purpose and lasting satisfaction that material wealth can never offer. 9. Gluttony. Consuming more than is necessary or healthy. Gluttony is not only about how much we consume, but also about our relationship with consumption. The hoarders warned against indulging our desires without any sense of moderation or thoughtfulness. Whether it is food, drink, or other forms of pleasure, gluttony represents a loss of control and a focus on instant gratification without regard for the consequences. It is about pursuing temporary satisfaction rather than seeking deeper fulfillment. Why is overindulgence important? It is damaging on multiple levels. It damages our physical health, contributing to health problems and a sense of malaise that makes it difficult to fully enjoy our lives. It undermines our self-discipline, feeding a pattern of mindlessly craving excess. Gluttony also makes us less present, reducing our ability to truly enjoy and appreciate the good things we have.
Musonius Rufus, a Stoic teacher, offers this insight. We should eat to live, not live to eat.
Choosing moderation is a path to freedom, not deprivation. The Stoics were not against enjoyment, but they were about savoring it carefully. Try to tune in to your body's hunger and satiety signals. Choose quality over quantity. Rediscover the joy of simple foods. Instead of gorging yourself to the point of discomfort, develop a relationship with food and other pleasures centered on appreciation and balance. This is not about perfection. Everyone overindulges from time to time. But instead of feeling guilt or shame, use it as a learning experience. What triggered the overindulgence? What can you do differently next time? Mindful moderation is not a prison. It is a roadmap to greater well-being, self-control, and the ability to find lasting joy in the simple pleasures of life. 10. Laziness. Avoidance of necessary actions and responsibilities. Laziness is not just wanting to watch Netflix instead of engaging in a chore. The kind of laziness that Stoicists oppose is deeper. It's about doing the things we know we should be doing, pursuing our goals, addressing problems, or fulfilling our responsibilities by resisting the nagging resistance within us to take action, preferring the comfort of the familiar over the sometimes difficult effort of growth. Why this matters? Laziness leads to a life of unrealized potential. We get stuck in mediocrity, letting our talents wither and our ambitions fade. It can sabotage our relationships as others shoulder burdens we avoid. Worst of all, laziness slowly erodes our self-esteem. Deep down inside, we know that we are not living like the person we want to be. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." While anger can be a motivator, the Stoics believed in something better, to be motivated by our own vision of perfection. Imagine what kind of person you want to be. Someone who procrastinates, shirks responsibilities, and makes excuses, or someone who takes action with discipline and determination. The choice is ours every day. Overcoming laziness is a journey of small steps. Start by being honest about the areas where procrastination is holding you back. Break big tasks into smaller, manageable chunks. This approach makes them less intimidating to start. Focus on building momentum. The first step is often the most difficult. Once you get going, the action usually feels easier. With each task you tackle, each obligation you fulfill, you build the self-discipline and confidence that makes laziness less and less attractive. Think of it like exercising a muscle. It starts out weak, but gets stronger over time. 11. Avoiding lies, deception, and truth. Dishonesty comes in many forms. Obvious lies, of course, but also half-truths, selective omissions, and ways we deceive ourselves to avoid facing uncomfortable truths. The Stoics believed in the power of truth and saw lying as deeply damaging. It is a choice that puts momentary comfort ahead of our honesty and creates waves of harm that extend far beyond the initial deception. Why is dishonesty important? First, it undermines trust. When we are dishonest with others, we destroy the foundation of real connections and community. Second, it damages our relationship with ourselves. With every lie, we undermine our self-esteem and sow seeds of doubt. And can we really trust our own judgment if we are willing to distort the truth to suit ourselves? Seneca sums it up beautifully. No one can put on one face to oneself and another to the crowd for long. The Stoics recognized that living a lie is exhausting. We expend energy weaving a tangled web of deception and worrying about getting caught. This makes us less authentic, less able to be ourselves. Truth, however difficult, offers a path to freedom and inner peace. Living with integrity does not mean being brutally honest all the time, regardless of feelings. It is about telling the truth in a nuanced, compassionate way and striving to be honest with ourselves first and foremost. Examine the roots of your lies. Are you afraid of conflict? Of being judged? Of not being liked? Facing these fears empowers you to act from an authentic place. Living a truthful life builds a strength of character that allows you to face challenges with dignity, knowing that you have nothing to hide. 12. Evil, wanting or doing harm to others. Evil is a dark emotion. It is the desire to see others suffer, the intention to harm, or the pleasure in the misfortune of others. The Stoics believed that evil, more than any external condition, is the greatest corruption of the human soul. It arises from a distorted worldview that sees others only as enemies or obstacles to our own well-being. The insidious thing about evil is that it ultimately hurts the person with the worst intentions the most. It poisons our perspective, turning everything into suffering. When we wish evil on others, we become mired in negativity, which breeds resentment and hatred that consumes us from within. Moreover, evil makes it impossible to cultivate the virtues that Stoicists value so highly, such as justice, compassion, and wisdom. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is not to become like the evildoer." The Stoics believed that we should meet adversity with a higher power. Instead of hurting someone who may have wronged us, we focus on living up to our own virtuous potential. We show compassion, recognizing that the person who acted maliciously may have been deeply wounded themselves. We are fair even to those who do not. This does not mean ignoring real wrongs. Sometimes it is necessary to defend ourselves or hold the perpetrators accountable. But we can do so without allowing hatred to take root in our hearts. Remember, the most powerful way to neutralize those who act with evil is to adopt a higher standard. True strength lies in overcoming the darkness within us, not surrendering to it. This is the path to true peace, and the life that Stoicists feel is truly worth living. Please try to understand the philosophy of Stoicism. For the Stoics, the concept of sin was not about external rules of sin or religious doctrines of sin. Their focus was on our inner character and the choices we make. They believed that true happiness comes from living virtuously and acting in accordance with reason and right action. Their sins represent the inner roadblocks that prevent us from achieving this virtue and inner peace. Crimes such as murder, rape, and theft are considered serious sins not only by the Stoics, but by all societies. They violate basic principles of human rights and social order. These acts are seen as a clear departure from reason and justice and cause great harm. The Stoic framework encourages a focus on cultivating virtues such as compassion, self-control, and a sense of justice that would prevent such violations in the first place. The Stoics believed that understanding these sins would help us become better people who could make positive contributions to society. By overcoming these inner barriers, we are less likely to cause suffering to others and can live with greater integrity and purpose. This is a proactive approach to creating a more just and peaceful world. We have taken a Stoic journey through 12 behaviors that can lead us astray. Remember, the path to virtue is a daily practice of self-reflection and discipline. If you find value in what I have shared, please like, share, and subscribe for more information about the Stoic way of life. Your support is very important to me. These were the 12 greatest sins of the Stoics. Which ones resonated with you the most? Are there areas where you can change your mindset and actions? Remember, this is a journey, not a race. Even small steps in the right direction can lead to great personal growth. Let me know your thoughts on these ideas, leave a comment, and let's keep this conversation going.